Welcome everybody to WrestleRant here today, and I'm your host, Bleacher Columnist Level 2, Graham GSM Matthews for WrestleRant edition number 58, Part 1. Yes, I said Part 1 because for the first time ever, WrestleRant is going to be split into two parts. One part, or this part I should say, is going to be about WWE. Part 2 is going to be about TNA. Part 1 is going to include the reviews of Monday Night Raw for this past week, SuperSmackDown live on Tuesday, and Part 2 is going to include the review of last night's TNA Impact Wrestling show, which I have yet to watch, which I'm going to watch after I film this show. And then after that, I'm going to be talking about my Destination X predictions for this Sunday. So let's get right down to it. Oh, and first and foremost, I hope you guys had a wonderful 4th of July holiday a couple days ago. I know I sure as hell did. I'm going to be wearing my World Tag Team Championship belts here today because, as I said before, and I'm going to be wearing it for every WrestleRant that I do in case I don't have my belts with me, I'm going to be wearing a Tag Team Championship belt, or just a Championship belt in general, for every WrestleRant that I do. Then I'm going to be wearing a World Tag Team Championship belt, the first ever belt that I got when I became a professional wrestling fan on June 2nd, 2008, my birthday, my first belt. So I'm going to be wearing that today. And also, if you noticed, I'm in my all-new room, as I said in my last WrestleRant on Sunday. I'm going to be moving over the last couple of weeks. And this week, we finally got moved in, and just last night, I finally got all my posters up, all 22 plus of them. So I'm going to be doing an all-new video, taking a tour of my all-new room. But behind me, you can see my Jeff Hardy poster, SummerSlam poster, Randy Orton up top, and my NWO Macho Man, oh yeah, poster on the bottom. So I'm going to be taking a tour of my room in a new video in the next couple of days, so be on the lookout for that. So let's get right down to Monday Night Raw for this past week. I'm going to be skipping around, not going in order. And since we're on, constructive time here, I'm on time constraints here, so I can't go in depth for every segment, but I'll try my best. But for the Paul Heyman promo, talking about Brock Lesnar on behalf of Brock Lesnar's match with Triple H at SummerSlam, Paul Heyman cut this excellent promo, per usual, on how Brock Lesnar will be at the 1000th edition of Raw in a couple weeks. Excellent promo from Paul Heyman. He's always a gold gem on the mic. Cannot wait for Brock Lesnar on the 1000th edition of Raw. I said it's a very smart booking idea. I said a couple weeks ago, Lesnar is going to appear on the 1000th edition of Raw and attack Shawn Michaels. I think that's the most logical way to do things if he wants to progress his feud with Triple H going to SummerSlam next month. So I think that's the best way to further the feud between those guys, between Triple H and Brock Lesnar, I should say. And I can't wait for that. The 1000th edition of Raw is going to be epic. And speaking of that, we had, in order to hype that show, we had two legends returning this past week's Monday Night Raw. We had Doink, Face Slater, in which he lost to the one-man Southern Rock Band, baby! And then Diamond Dallas Page made his epic return to WWE Raw this past Sunday as well. This past Monday as well. And that was pretty much well done. This is something that annoys me. Someone tweeted this past Monday that just because I am not a Diamond Dallas Page fan, I'm not saying that I'm not, but just because I wasn't watching Diamond Dallas Page in his prime back when he was in WCW and WWE over a decade ago, doesn't mean I can't mark out for when he came back. Because I know I was marking out. I was even marking out for Doink when he came back. When I heard that music, I was marking out for every legend. For every legend that's been returning over the last couple of weeks, I have been marking out. I have every right to. Just because you're an older wrestling fan and just because you've been watching longer does not mean you are a better wrestling fan than us younger ones that have been watching for that long, or just us, just younger generation wrestling fans in general. But anyways, that was a pretty cool segment, very fun to have DDP back. We had Alberto Del Rio and Bush Sin Cara before the match even got started. I like the idea of a feud between those guys. The Lucha Libre style could be, make for some interesting matches, as we saw last year between these two. But I don't know why Sin Cara was attacked, though. I mean, it's not like he was suspended or being released or anything like that. At least I hope not. I mean, I'm not a huge Sin Cara fan, but he has improved since the last run that he had last year. But since his return, he's been doing pretty well. I just don't see the point in squashing him. Maybe it was the point in getting Del Rio effective, which was effective in that sense. I mean, it did put over Del Rio immensely, so I was happy about that. But why Sin Cara, I'm not too sure. But hopefully the future is bright for Sin Cara and he can get back on track on an upcoming edition of SmackDown and whatnot. After that, we had a no disqualification match between Big Show and Kane. I heard a lot of people shitting on this match, and that's rightfully so. I understand that because these guys aren't the best in the ring. I think Kane is definitely better than Big Show in the ring, but the fact that they added the no disqualification stipulation made this match a little more flexible for both guys, so they weren't limited. Because we all know they're both limited in the ring, especially against one another. So I think the no disqualification stipulation definitely helped this matchup. Putting Big Show over Kane clean, yeah, sure, it helped Big Show look like a monster, but what does it do for Kane? This guy was an unstoppable force a couple months ago, now he's just a big red pussy because, he just lost to Big Show in less than 5 minutes, clean, and, he's been falling for AJ over the last couple of weeks as well. I know he's done with that, but, he still fell for her a couple of weeks ago. So, they really got to figure out what they're doing with Kane. But I am glad that the Big Red Monster has put over a few people in the process. Tyson Kidd defeated Tensai in a quick 10-second matchup. I was marking out when I saw Tyson Kidd defeat Tensai. I know Tensai doesn't mean all that much, but putting Tyson Kidd, a guy that hasn't gotten a push in years since he won the Tag Team Championships, but went back with the Hart Dynasty back in 2010, giving him a quick squash match win over Tensai was huge, an upset victory. I am very, very glad that he's being pushed going into Money in the Bank. I know he's not going to win the match, but he's definitely going to have an impressive showing, so I'm really looking forward to that. And Tensai beating up Sakamoto, I could really care less about. I don't know what they're doing with Tensai at this point. I think he had potential when he first came in, but they certainly dropped the ball when they ended his undefeated streak so early against John Cena last month. But, I digress. Hopefully they can get back on track with his character and hopefully get something for him in the upcoming future. In the main event, we had John Cena and CM Punk tag team against a team of Chris Jericho and Daniel Bryan, which is a dream team. If you saw their segments before the match and during the match, these guys are a dream team. I really, really hope that they team up after Money in the Bank to go for the WWE Tag Team Championships and give that division some more prestige, because these guys are golden on the mic and in the ring together. But anyways, as for the match itself here, it was a pretty good matchup. Despite the few botches that Jericho and Cena had, that was mostly John Cena's fault, but, it still can be blamed on Jericho as well. But still, overall, I thought it was a pretty good match. Ending it with a non-finish didn't really bother me all that much, with AJ coming in. This show is all about AJ, and I know some people are going to be complaining about that, but think about this. I'd rather have AJ exposed on WWE Raw more than John Cena has in the last couple of weeks. AJ is the hottest commodity that they have going at the moment, with this CM Punk and Daniel Bryan feud, so I think it's golden. As far as the table pushing, I thought it was pretty innovative. It wasn't all that intriguing, but it was pretty cool. And, it leaves a confusing spot open as to which side she's going to be siding with, Punk or Bryan going to Money in the Bank, that she's going to be the special guest referee for that WWE Championship match at the July pay-per-view event. So now moving on to Super SmackDown. Again, I'm not going to be talking about every segment, just a few select ones that I thought were important. Del Rio and Sheamus to kick off the show. I thought that was a little bit odd to kick off the show with two guys that aren't even from America on the Great American Bash show. But, I digress. But I thought it was a pretty good segment. Del Rio, I know he took a page out of JBL's book by insulting the Texan crowd. I believe it was in Texas. And asking for their papers, which I know JBL did a number of years ago. But it did get him some heat in the process. And I know Del Rio has been stale for oh so long. So at least it put an extra layer of heat on his character, which has been, boring for almost a year now. And it got Sheamus hurt in the process. He was bleeding. I know the hitting him over the head with the car hood thing was a little bit weak, but having Sheamus bleed afterwards, which I thought was pretty cool. We had both Cody Rhodes and Dolph Ziggler qualify for Money in the Bank, the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank, I should say. Dolph Ziggler defeated Alex Riley. It was great to see Alex Riley. He got a ton of offense in, which I liked. Del Rio sold like a champ as usual, so I thought that was pretty cool. Cody Rhodes defeated Christian in a great match. These guys never cease to amaze me. They have great chemistry in the ring. I'm glad Cody Rhodes finally picked up a victory over the IC champion. I don't want to see him go back after Christian in the IC title, but I was glad that he finally picked up a win over Captain Charisma, and in clean fashion too. And the kill switch to the Crossroads, which I thought was an immense cool spot. So go back and check that out if you didn't already see it. So I'm glad those two guys are in the Money in the Bank. It's positive. I'm positive that one of those two guys is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank. No doubt about it. Then we had another segment featuring Daniel Bryan, AJ, and CM Punk. Another golden segment between these guys. I know they're pushing the feud a little too hard, but I'm not complaining. These guys are probably the most entertaining thing on WWE television at the moment. So I'm really liking the feud. And as I said before, as far as the Raw review goes, these guys are making it as confusing as possible, which is a good thing. Because I don't know if AJ is going to be siding with Daniel Bryan or CM Punk, which is the feeling that I want to be getting going to Money in the Bank, and not something predictable like, oh, I know she's going to be feuding with or siding with Daniel Bryan, and she's going to be turning heel again. But only time will tell. I'm really looking forward to the match at Money in the Bank over the WWE Championship. Now, to close the show, we had a 20-man battle royal featuring the likes of CM Punk, Big Show, John Cena, and all the major stars on both shows. And the inevitable winner was, of course, woo woo woo, you know it, Zack Ryder. And I loved that Zack Ryder came out victorious here, because he hasn't gotten a push in since December when he first won the U.S. Championship, because 2012 has not been his year, lack of thereof, I should say, especially after being decimated by Kane over the last couple of months, and having him eliminate Kane was a very, very nice touch. I'm glad that he was able to eliminate Kane as well as get revenge over Eve earlier in the night. So I thought that was really cool as well. So I'm really looking forward to Zack Ryder as general manager next week. I mean, I know it's not going to be anything huge or anything special, but it's probably going to be just all silliness. But I am looking forward to the Long Island IZ Zackdown nonetheless. So overall, Raw and SmackDown this week were pretty good. I know last week they weren't the best shows. I know SmackDown last week was actually pretty good. Raw last week was average, below average in my opinion. So I thought this week they kicked it up a notch. So I was really happy about that. SmackDown, usually the SmackDown specials are complete shit. And I mean, as far as the old school one goes, the Christmas special, the one in August they had last year, those specials were all complete shit. So I was happy that they did a above average SmackDown. So I was happy that it was enjoyable and entertaining the entire 2 hours that it lasted. No SmackDown on tonight, obviously, because it just aired on Tuesday. However, TNA Impact Wrestling aired last night, and I will be getting to that in my next WrestleRant, so make sure to check that out in part 2. As far as other WWE news goes, for July 23rd, they aired an all-new commercial on the USA Network for the Raw 1000th episode. That was absolutely hilarious. And of course, it was written by the USA Network writers and not the writers of WWE. So that wasn't all that surprising, because USA Network is absolutely brilliant. So I was not surprised that they were the ones ending up writing the commercial. But if you haven't seen it already, go back and check that out. It's so funny. Also in other news, Bruno Sammartino will not be entering the WWE Hall of Fame. He turned down the invitation after Triple H called him, I believe. Not all that surprising. I do respect the guy for his decision. I know he has some personal issues with WWE, and he's not going to be entering the Hall, but he should be commended for his work in WWE over 3 decades ago. Rey Mysterio and Mark Henry, their returns are coming this month. Hopefully, Rey Mysterio, I've heard they should be returning at the 1000th edition of Raw in a couple weeks. Mark Henry, on the other hand, he is getting healthier and losing weight on the other hand, so congrats to him. He should be coming back in the next couple of weeks as well, so I'm really looking forward to that. And also, in other TNA releases, I know this is TNA news in which I should be mentioning my other WrestleRant, but I'll just say it here. Angelina Love and Shannon Moore were released from TNA this past week. I know they were granted their release because they asked for it. Angelina Love, she could be going to WWE. Who knows? I'd love to see her in WWE. She'd probably be a perfect fit for their division. Shannon Moore, he hasn't been on TV in months, and he said that he's going to be leaving anyway, so not that big of a shocker. And 2 big questions I want to answer right here real quickly, asked by @BreakItDown1990. He asked, do you think Dolph Ziggler should split from Vicky? Of course I do. This guy's a future World Heavyweight Champion. Does not need Vicky to garner him heat anymore, because I know he can do that all by himself on the mic. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. And he also asked me thoughts on JTG joining the Primetime Players. I think that would be a really good idea. I know JTG isn't all that relevant, unlike the Primetime Players, Darren Young, Ted Solino. However, I don't want to make it racist, though, because I know we have Abraham Washington, Darren Young, and Ted Solino, all African Americans. I don't want to make it racist, but I personally do think he would fit in with the Primetime Players, especially since the Primetime Players are kind of a ripoff from Crime Time. But I think he would fit pretty well. So make sure to follow me on Twitter @SAVE_US_GSM, and I'll see you guys in WrestleRant edition number 58, part 2.